banks of Lake Chattooga in Hiawassee, Georgia, at the Towns County Pickleball Complex and Courts. And we're lucky enough to have the local Pickleball Association President, Reed Trimble. Reed, thanks for having us.
Thank you, Rick.
All right, I know nothing about pickleball. How about educating me?
Okay, pickleball started out in Washington State about 1965. There were some folks that were bored. They were trying to figure out what they were going to do that weekend. So they took a wiffle ball and some ping pong battles, and it's kind of developed into what we have now. So few different discussions about how it came up with the name, pickleball, but actually a pickleball is a wiffle ball, and we use oversized ping pong paddles, and it's the fastest growing sport in the country now. I think there's right around 5 million players, and it's growing about 30–40% every 2 years.
Wow.
So it's hopefully they're looking for it to be an Olympic sport coming up in the future, and there's just really no end in sight for it.
All right, tell me a little about the courts here, because I, for years, remember this as the dilapidated tennis courts, and then all of a sudden we have these beautiful pickleball courts.
Yeah, they are beautiful. This was 4 old, worn-out tennis courts that didn't get any use, and we converted those into 14 pickleball courts with permanent nets, and that's the biggie when you go into certain areas. Sometimes you'll go into an area that says we have nets, but they're temporary nets.
Right.
And a lot of times when the ball hits a temporary net, it'll go over. Where these permanent nets, it stops it. So people want permanent nets. They want permanent dedicated courts. They don't really want to share courts with tennis players. We don't have collars on our shirt. You know, most tennis players do. That's just kind of a.
I got you.
We're converting a lot of them over every day, and but that's kind of.
Tell me about, I see a big group out here today. Tell me about your days here. Are you open 7 days a week?
We are. We play every morning. Usually, depends on the temperature. If it's above 40 degrees, people are out here playing. Normally they play 2 hours, maybe 2.5. They'll play to lunchtime. They'll go take a rest, and then there's an afternoon crowd that comes in. Now, in the winter, they come in about 2. During the summer, they start floating in here about 5 to 6.
All right.
So we have apps on our phone where everybody can kind of communicate. It's a Microsoft app. It's called GroupMe, and it's Hiawassee Pickleball. So that's the first thing we do. We put people on there so they don't have to wonder if I drive 30 minutes to the pickleball courts, is there going to be anybody there?
Oh, wow.
So it's very helpful to know, and sometimes you come and the courts are wet. It didn't rain at your house, but it might have rained over here. So you can say, are the courts wet? Is there anybody there? Did I leave my paddle? Did I leave my glasses? So it's a very helpful app, and it's very enjoyable to play when you know what's going on.
Right. I know you have tournaments here. Tell me a little about your tournament play.
Okay, we're having 2 tournaments this year. We're having one, it's in conjunction with the Happy Together concert across the street, and we're calling it the Happy Together Pickleball Tournament. We've got right at 300 people registered for this one, and we play men's, we play mixed, and we play women's. So all the registration money, and luckily we have sponsors like you that sponsor our tournament, and we put all that money back into the charities in the community. So that really, when you walk in and say, hey, I'm from George Mountain Pickleball Club, we're having a pickleball tournament, they say, well, I saw an article in the paper where you guys donated money to Meals on Wheels, and they don't mind opening up the checkbook, you know, when they know the money's going to the Humane Society, if it's going to kids at the school. So
hate to interrupt you, but that's what caught my attention, was how much y'all do and give to the community. Tell me a little about y'all's charity work.
Yeah, we're a 501c3, and that's our mission, is to spread the good word about pickleball, and hopefully the benefits from that go back into the community.
Right.
So what we're trying to do is, some people call it putting heads in beds.
Yeah.
We try to get the support from the restaurants, the hotels, which most of them do support us.
Right.
And all of that, when folks come in, they don't know where to stay, they don't know where to eat, because
right.
our tournament we had in October, we had people from 15 states. so as far away as Wisconsin. So all of that stuff's on the internet. There's software that it's called pickleballtournaments.com is what we use. So you can go on there and see where all the tournaments are all over the country. And you say, well, God, Hiawassee is a beautiful spot to go in the spring, summer, fall, you know. So people want to come here and play pickleball.
Right. Now you mentioned the association donates to local kids.
Yes.
What is that for?
Well, we kind of let them decide. We just made a donation to the high school, and we give it to the athletic department. They told us that when they have teams make it into the playoffs, that the school really doesn't furnish the meals and some of the travel expenses. So that was used when the basketball team made the playoffs, when the soccer team goes into the playoffs. Some of the kids, I think, might have got a new set of cleats or maybe a ball glove that wasn't expecting it. So.
And I'd read about some of that, but what I didn't know about was your relationship with Meals on Wheels.
Yeah, we have a few of the players here that actually have routes that deliver food on Fridays, and it allows a lot of people to stay in their home that wouldn't be able to. So one of the fellows on our board, we have a 7-member board and 3 advisors, and one of the fellows on our board, Kevin Hart, has a route over on Sunnyside, and he said, I think, they would really appreciate a donation. So in his behalf, we do donate and help out Meals on Wheels as much as we can.
That's awesome. And you bring a lot of folks to your tournaments from around, which that definitely helps our local economy.
It does.
We appreciate that.
It does. Everybody that comes here wants to stay here. Some of them can figure out how to make that happen, and some can't. Some come and stay in a camper for a couple, 3 years, and they look the whole time they're here trying to find the perfect spot. But I don't think there's anybody here that, most of them want to stay permanently. A lot of them want to have a place, to come 6 months out of the year. Some stay 9 months. So we're fortunate to have that, that drawing card as well.
Tell me a little about your indoor courts. We can see your outdoor courts. Tell me a little about your indoor.
We're fortunate enough to have 2 facilities where we can play inside. We have some call it the new and the old rec center. Our courthouse is going to be remodeled, and they're going to move it into the old recreation department, where we had 4 indoor courts for inclement weather. If any way possible, most of these pickleball people, they're wanting to get out of the house. They're wanting outside. So if the weather's bad, if it's real windy, wet, rainy, we will try to go inside. And I think in 2013, we've got the new Foster Park Recreation Department with an indoor track, weight facility, 2 gyms. The county allows us to play pickleball on one of those, which we convert into 3 temporary nets. And so that gives people a place to go inside if the weather's bad. And they allow us to have it from 9 to 2 every day. So even if the weather's nice, some people don't want to be out in the sun, they can go inside and play and avoid, the sun damage that they might feel like they would get outside. So that's a wonderful thing to have. And even when, for tournament purposes, if we do have a rain out day there, we would, once the courthouse is remodeled, we would have the ability to have 10 indoor courts, which is unheard of. So our commissioner is really wanting to bring more and more tournaments to this area, and more national attention to that. So he's doing everything he can to make sure that we wouldn't have to just say, hey, we're sorry, we can't have a tournament. We can move you inside, which most people do not have that ability.
Nice. Well, Reed, I have learned a lot about pickleball, and I appreciate your time today. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate you coming out.